Something I really value about Mushoku Tensei's character writing is how they're handling depression when it comes to Rudy, because Rudy's a pretty complex character, and right now, he's in a way at his lowest. From his point of view, I mean, he's kind of lost everything in a way. I mean, part of it is definitely because Eris just isn't good at communicating, and from his point of view, it looks like she dumped his ass and hates him and everything like that, but of course we know that it's anything other than that. She just needs to be strong enough to and be worthy enough to be next to Rudy from her point of view, but communication issues can be a bit of a stinker, let's just say it like that. But I like the fact that for Rudy, he's going through quite a bit. He had a very horrible first life, and now really at this point he feels more alone than ever, so all he can do is try to locate his mom, try to help people that he can, but at the end of the day, he feels pathetic and worthless, and we can see it almost every time he talks with characters. He barely looks characters in the eyes, he's almost always looking at his feet, and he just wants to fit in, and any little insult or someone not appreciating him, it eats away at him. And I love the fact that while there's definitely moments of comedy surrounding him, I mean, his safety blanket is a pair of panties. No matter how you spin that, it's funny to think about. But I appreciate the fact that, right now anyway, I would say this is my favorite version of Rudy that we've seen, because rather than glorifying depression and making it, oh, he's just crying in a corner or he's freaking out, depression hits everyone differently, and the way he's being explored is someone who feels more alone than ever. And I love the fact that a party which kind of started off, I mean, I really thought it'd be a one or two time thing that would pop up. The fact that this little group who helped him on the cart ride has now turned into something where, for the first time since really a lot of this stuff has happened, he feels truly thankful. Imagine saving someone who was lost and left for dead, thinking we'll never see Sarah again. The fact that he saves her, but at the end of the day, really she's the one who saved him because he felt useful, he felt appreciated, and for the first time since really all this BS has happened, he feels like the world isn't as black and white as he once thought. And really, the character writing for Rudy's depression arc is absolutely superb, and I have to say, anyone who told me that this was going to be a boring arc are giving me the same damn vibes that I had when people told me that Farmland Saga was going to be boring, and that became my favorite arc of Vinland Saga so far. And I have a feeling that this is going to be my favorite arc of Mushoku Tensei that I've seen so far. Now, full live reaction to today's wonderful Mushoku Tensei episode is available on my Patreon. If you would like to see my full uncut thoughts as I watch today's great episode, really, from episode 0 now to episode 2, it's only getting better in my opinion. I like the production style, I like, man, they popped off a few different times with the animation, but it's the little moments that make an episode of Jobless Reincarnation truly flourish. And I think my favorite part of this episode overall has to be the D-bag, who was a lot more complex than I thought he was going to be. I mean, starting off in the guild being like, I'm gonna go hunt some of these snow drakes, don't anyone else deal with this, I got this, and he just gives off an arrogant, smug vibe. So we end up with our guild here, a little party, and we go get some scales, right? And then ultimately they all start funneling out, they can climb walls, it's just a mess, right? And basically that dude's party comes in, kills them, and then he sucker punches the nicest dude in our party. And I'm like, okay, this dude's an arrogant prick, I can't wait to see his head get cut off. And instead, they make him way more complex than I was initially giving credit to, and that's kind of the brilliance of the characters in the show like this, is that they're usually more than meets the eye. Almost immediately, after realizing that he was a D-bag and, he punched him thinking that, I already took this quest, you're stealing another man's job, or like, you shouldn't do that. No, actually, we have a second quest, it's just your monsters came into our territory, my bad. And then even during the night when they're all drinking, he comes over and apologizes. Yes, he gets heated because he just really doesn't like Rudy, but I like the fact that it shows that while he's arrogant and he's very self-centered, the fact remains that he does recognize when he messes up. Was it the best apology ever? No, but I appreciate seeing that. And because of a character like him, we really get to show Rudy as who he is. And it's really interesting because prior to the drinking scene, we see Rudy, it's such a small little moment, but the fact that when they're all running for their life, right, he looks back and he sees no one. And you just see a smile. It's like, of course they did. He's alone. No one cares about him. And just in that moment, once again, it's almost like he's ready to die. And when that arrow gets fired and he starts getting like a helping hand, the genuine sense of relief that he's not alone. This is how someone with depression should act after feeling this alone. And I love the fact that during the kind of the call out when the table's getting smashed and he's freaking out, saying almost like you're always looking down on people, you act like you have the worst problems when everyone has problems, right? He's just feeling like this kid just pisses him off. And I love how the smile gets bigger and bigger and you see how fake it is. Behind that smile is a world of pain, and while everyone handles depression and these situations differently, you know, at the end of the day, depression hurts, and that's kind of like the theme right now. But instead of just making Rudy some edgelord or he's always sad and frowning, there's half the time he's interacting like everything's fine, and the most depressed people, half the time you wouldn't be able to tell they're depressed because they fake it till they make it. And that's kind of the brilliance of where we're at with Mushoku Tensei, is that with episode 0, getting caught up to where Sylphie is, now with episodes 1 and 2, catching up to where Rudy we left off in season 1, he's at arguably his lowest since becoming isekai and jumping into this world, but at the same time there's a whole new world of possibilities. And honestly, the way they handled Sarah and his relationship up to this point is quite interesting, because she starts off as almost like an Eris clone in a way in terms of personality, but she's honestly started to become her own character over this episode. And I really like how at the end, when they're lecturing like, Rudy, as soon as you heard that she was out there, you just rushed off. What if you would have died? Like, obviously they don't want to lose him either. And I love how she's like the first to defend, being like, don't you dare, like, he's awesome. And it's like, it's just refreshing, right? I love the art style of Mushoku Tensei, I always have, and there's a couple of moments like when Rudy's powering up his attacks, or he's rushing over to the tree where she's basically held captive, and then like when the snowdrakes are kind of going over the walls and rushing. There's some clean animation moments for sure. But it's honestly the facial expressions for me, man. Like, if you really pay attention to how characters respond, even when, like, there's the moment when the dude's, like, kind of talking mad shit at the table and apologizing, you know, just the way they're drinking their ale, right? It's just, like, there's these little small details that make the character movements feel so realistic, despite this being an anime and primarily 2D drawn, right? With obviously some 3D incorporated. But I love it, man. I really do. I think Mushoku Tensei is an isekai goat. I think episodes like these flex that for sure. And while sure, maybe if people are more into the more bombastic big moments of a show like this, maybe this seems dry and boring for them. But as someone, like I said, who likes the farmland sagas of Vinland Saga, or likes the depression arcs of a Mushoku Tensei, to me this is the best parts of a show where you really get to do a deep dive on a character, and characters who I thought would be a one and done, we're gonna join them for a little quest, have come into a moment where we're just like, you know what, this actually feels like I could be with them for an entire core, and I would be completely a-okay with it. Though I will say, I was in disbelief when they announced that Mimir and Sarah were dead. Now, Sarah, I immediately said, no, there's no way. But just casually, it just flexes it, right? Like, this is a world where one night you'll say goodbye to this group that you party with, and then the next day you come in and half of them could be dead because of a mission that you didn't go on. What if I would have been a part of that mission? Would they still be here? There is a level of heaviness that, even though sometimes you can sum down the moments of he's holding on to a pair of panties and worshiping it like a comfort blanket because it reminds him of his teacher, at the end of the day, a majority of what we're seeing with Rudy here is really good character writing, and I absolutely love it. But let me know what you thought down below of this wonderful second episode of Season 2. How hyped are you for Episode 3? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful episode, and hey, while you're there, you can also get a video shadow. So today we have Ginger King, Alexandria, Brice, Delzangles, and Deandra. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.